Here's a detailed account of Oleksiy Danilov's life and career, with particular emphasis on 2023 to 2025. Here's a detailed look at Oleksiy Danilov's early life and education from 1962 to 1993. Early life and education, 1962 to 1993. Birth and hometown. Full name, Oleksiy Danilov. Date of birth, September 7, 1962. Place of birth, Krasny Luch, Luhansk Oblast, Ukrainian SSR, now called Krustalny, part of Russian-occupied eastern Ukraine. Education and early career studies. 1981. Danilov graduated from the Starobilsky State Farm Technical School in 1981, specializing as a veterinary technician. After graduation, he worked as a veterinarian in collective farms kolkhozes in the Luhansky region during the Soviet period. Life during late Soviet period. Throughout the 1980s, he continued his work in agriculture and veterinary services. He was also involved in small business and entrepreneurship, particularly after the perestroika reforms, which began to allow limited private enterprise in the late 1980s, early 1990s. Shift toward politics with the collapse of the USSR in 1991 and Ukraine's independence. Danilov began taking part in local political and civic activity. He was among the first local figures in Luhansk to promote democratic reforms and regional self-governance. Additional academic qualifications post-1993. For reference, while these fall outside the 1962 to 1993 window, it's useful to note, he later completed degrees in history, 1999, Management 2000 and Law 2000 at universities in Luhansk and Kyiv, adding to his expertise before entering national politics. Oleksiy Danilov earned his veterinary degree in 1981 from the Starobilsky State Farm Technical School, also known as a zootechnical or agricultural college in what is now Luhansk Oblast, Ukraine. Degree details. Field, veterinary medicine, animal health, veterinary technician. Level qualification, trained as a veterinary paramedic or technician. Not a doctor of veterinary medicine, these programs were typically 2 to 3 years in duration, and prepared graduates to work in state farms, sovkhozes and collective farms, kolkhozes, during the Soviet era. Year of graduation, 1981. At age 19, early work. After graduation, Danilov worked as a veterinarian in the Luhansk region throughout the 1980s. His veterinary experience was largely practical and field-based, dealing with livestock health and farm operations in rural Soviet Ukraine. This foundational experience shaped his early understanding of rural life, agriculture, and local management skills that later helped him transition into politics. Would you like a list of his later university degrees as well? Here's a detailed look at Oleksiy Danilov's career in local and regional politics 1994 to 2007. Local and regional politics 1994 to 2007, Mayor of Luhansk. 1994, 1997, in 1994. At just 31 years old, Oleksiy Danilov was elected mayor of Luhansk, becoming one of the youngest mayors of a major Ukrainian city at the time. He won during the first wave of post-Soviet local elections. In a period marked by political volatility and economic chaos. As mayor, he focused on stabilizing municipal services during Ukraine's transition to a market economy, privatization efforts and reform of local utilities, balancing influence between rising oligarchic groups and local democratic reformers. His term coincided with severe economic instability, high crime, and major industrial decline in eastern Ukraine, particularly in coal and metallurgy. And successful run for parliament 1998. Danilov ran as an independent or regional candidate in the 1998 parliamentary elections but did not win a seat. He remained active in civic life, working in public organizations and advisory capacities. Returned to regional politics 2001 to 2005. 2001 to 2005. He led the Luhansk regional branch of the Committee of Voters of Ukraine and the Luhansk Initiative, a pro-reform civic movement. Advocated for electoral transparency, democratic development in eastern Ukraine, civic oversight of local governments. Governor of Luhansk Oblast 2005, appointed governor of Luhansk Oblast in February 2005 by President Viktor Yushchenko. After the Orange Revolution, his term lasted only a few months, February to November 2005. As governor, he tried to implement pro-European reforms and align Luhansk with the national government's direction. Faced intense local resistance from entrenched pro-Russian political and business networks. Was replaced in late 2005 amid regional political reshuffles. People's Deputy of Ukraine, 2006-2007. In the 2006 parliamentary elections, Danilov was elected as a member of parliament with the Yulia Tymoshenko bloc, BUT, served on the Parliamentary Committee on State Building and Local Self-Government. Focused on decentralization, constitutional reform, civic rights, and administrative transparency. He did not return to Parliament in the 2007 snap elections, stepping back from frontline politics until the late 2001-0199-419997. Mayor of Luhansk, youngest mayor of the city, 1998 parliamentary candidate, unsuccessful run to 2001-2005. Regional civic leader, Luhansk Initiative, Committee of Voters, Feb-November 2005. Governor of Luhansk Oblast, appointed by President Yushchenko, 2006-2007. Member of Parliament, BUT, served in State Building Committee here. A detailed account of Oleksiy Danilov's role in national security leadership from 2019 to 2024, a period that included the Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine. National security leadership. 2019 to 2024 appointment to the NSDC. July 23, 2019, appointed Deputy Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, NSDC, by President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. October 3, 2019, promoted to Secretary of the NSDC, becoming the country's top national security official. The NSDC is one of the most powerful state bodies in Ukraine, responsible for coordinating and supervising national security, defense, and strategic planning. Role and influences NSDC Secretary. Danilov became a key architect of Ukraine's security strategy and a principal voice on national defense issues, especially during the lead-up to and outbreak of the 2022 Russian invasion. He chaired key defense coordination meetings, issued public warnings about Russian threats, acted as a spokesperson for government security policy, often speaking bluntly and critically about Russia during the Russian invasion 2022-2024. 2022, invasion begins January 2022, publicly warned that Russian troop movements near Ukraine could precede war, but emphasized uncertainty. February 24, 2022, Russia launches full-scale invasion. Danilov took a central role in crisis response, helping coordinate martial law, mobilization, and international outreach. Notable 2022 actions called for mass mobilization and preparation for long-term resistance, helped coordinate arms, supplies, and sanctions policy, warned that any Russian occupation of Ukrainian territory would never be accepted by Kyiv. 2023. Escalation and diplomacy firmly opposed any peace deals that involved territorial concessions. In April 2023, declared that Ukraine would not accept any ceasefire that left occupied territories under Russian control. Supported military strikes on Crimea and symbolic targets like the Kerch Bridge, which he mocked on Putin's birthday. 2024. Strategic warnings and public messaging. March 2024. In interviews, he compared Vladimir Putin to Hitler, calling him Hitler's Siamese twin, emphasized that delayed Western aid, especially from the U.S., was putting Ukrainian lives and military positions at risk. Reiterated Ukraine's long-term strategic goal of retaking Crimea and all occupied territories. Dismissal from NSDC role. March 26, 2024. President Zelenskyy dismissed Danilov as Secretary of the NSDC. No official reason was given. This marked a significant shakeup in the national security team, seen by analysts as part of internal political realignment. Danilov's departure was widely covered in Ukrainian and international media. Though praised for his clarity and firmness, some suggested he may have clashed with other senior officials over war strategy. Key traits and public persona: known for his blunt, uncompromising rhetoric, especially toward Russia. Advocated for total liberation of Ukraine's territory, including Crimea. A firm believer in democratic values, national sovereignty, and Euro-Atlantic integration. Became a symbol of wartime resilience and hardline stance within Zelenskyy's administration. July 23, 2019, appointed Deputy Secretary of NSDC OCT3. 2019 appointed Secretary of NSDC FEB. 2022 leads wartime coordination after invasion. 2023 rejected ceasefires with territorial loss. 2024 criticized slow U.S. aid and compared Putin to Hitler. 26. 2024, dismissed from NSDC by President Zelenskyy. Here is a detailed account of Oleksiy Danilov's early life and education, 1962 to 1993. Early life and education, 1962 to 1993. Birth and origins. Full name: Oleksiy Myokeslavovich Danilov. Date of birth: September 7, 1962. Place of birth: Krasny Luch, Luhansk Oblast, Ukrainian SSR, now called Krustalany, located in Russian-occupied eastern Ukraine. Danilov was born in an industrial mining region in eastern Ukraine, a Soviet stronghold known for its coal production and working-class identity. This background would later influence his political orientation and populist image. Early education and veterinary degree. Danilov attended a technical agricultural school and graduated in 1981 from the Starobilsk State Farm Technical school. In Luhansk Oblast he received a degree in veterinary medicine technician level, preparing him for work as a veterinary paramedic or livestock health specialist. His formal title would have been equivalent to a veterinary feldsher in Soviet. Classification focused on practical, field-based animal care rather than academic veterinary science.